Good morning, level twos. Welcome to Zenith Workouts. Today we're going to do a mat class where we will incorporate the mini ball once we come down onto the mat. It is always optional, but nice to have if you have a proper mini ball or just a soft ball that you can be using. You don't need it right away. And we're going to get our feet into parallel. We're going to start with a little footwork today. So just take a moment to get aware and grounded in your feet. So your thoughts always starting with your nice tall spine and your open collarbones and bringing the head back so the weight of the head is over the rest of the spine. It seems like silly things to say, but we all lose it in the day. And then a nice breath. And just before you start in the thought of grounding into your feet, notice the breath improving. Just naturally in its quality as soon as you start being aware of it a little bit, right? Hopefully you notice that the breath is going a little deeper into the sides and the back of the rib cage, connecting with the pelvic floor. And maybe the breath itself encouraging a little bit of relaxation in the whole body to start with. Once you feel that improvement in breath quality, take a little moment and just sway into your left leg, the left side of your body, activating and responding to that, and then sway into the right. Once again into the left leg, left side of the body, back to the right, and just notice how that feels today. And then come to even weight on each foot, even weight in the heels and the balls of the feet. Notice a presence along the outer border of the foot. And then on your next breath in, raise all your toes without altering your posture. See if you can spread the toes and then pad them back down nicely as you exhale. And it does help to look at our feet to say, oh yeah, how's that going? So you can do that. But then once you've connected with those little feet and toe muscles, focus on that tall posture that doesn't alter as you raise the toes. You actually have to be quite active in your body in order to avoid just raising the toes and swaying or bending at the hips, right? Well, let's do two more with all the toes. And last one. And then adding a little finesse to it, trying to pad down the baby toe first, then the fourth toe, the third toe, the second toe, and the first. So lift all the toes, have that spread going on if you can, and then try to connect first the baby toe back down on the mat, then the fourth toe, then the third, then the second, then the first, and then raise all the toes again. And a nice sort of roll, sweeping down from baby toe side of the foot to the big toe connecting last. And we'll try 3 more like that. Enjoying our feet this morning. And don't worry if that's totally unavailable to you. You can still do just the raise and the lower of the toes, keeping that lovely posture. But as you know, with most Pilates exercises, we can always get a little better and make them a little more challenging. Perfect. Leave the toes just for a second, warming up the ankles, where you breathe in and slide your back down that imaginary wall behind you, really keeping the bum, the pelvis, underneath the rib cage, underneath the head, not allowing that pop or that tip forward. And then just straighten back up and come straight up onto the balls of the feet. So sink the heels, bend the knees, stay long in the spine, and then straighten and raise up onto the balls of the feet. So you just have a nice vertical posture here. Gorgeous breath. In to lower. Exhale to engage the core lightly as you come up onto the toes. You can slow it down. You can speed it up, depending how you feel today. But just really watching that form in the pelvis so that you can get all the flexibility in the ankles that we're looking for here. Hold this one down. And think of lifting the top of your feet towards your shins. Nothing moves, you're just activating those little shin muscles. And then relax and see if that allows you to sink a little deeper into the ankles. Maybe it does. Do that one more time. Lift, lift, lift the top of the feet up towards the shins. Lift, lift, lift. And then relax and see if you can go a little deeper into that. And then exhale to come up, to balance on the balls of the feet. And then without letting the pelvis shift side to side, drop the right heel, come back up, and then the left, and back up. So a little walking through the feet, but spending most of our time in that up position, if possible. Staying strong and long through the spine, and with that lovely regular breath. And we're just doing one more on each side, so lower the right heel, up through the middle, lower the left. A little balance, bring the arms overhead if you can. Try not to let the ribs pop forward as you press the arms back, keeping the shoulders down. Hold that position, and then do 3 knee bends where you're putting this all together. A balance, ankle work. Yay. Last one here. And sink the heels, lower the arms out to your sides, nice and wide, wide, wide. Right? And then take a moment there and just press the arms back behind you without altering your spine posture. So keep the head from poking forward. Hold the ribs and the abdominals in strong. Exhale to bring the arms forward, and we'll do 2 more like that. So just opening across the chest first thing. Yeah. Lovely. And then bring the arms right out from the shoulders. And just turn the right palm all the way up and the left palm all the way down. And back behind you if you can, so you get that rotation. And switch. And just do one more where we only do the arms, and you're really trying to feel that you have some length in your arms right out of the fingertips. And you feel this through the shoulder and deep into the chest. Then start to add in some rotation at the head where you look at the upright palm and switch. And switch. And try to really keep that idea of a gentle chin tuck as you do your rotation. We often let the chin poke forward, or we do more movement with the forehead. You're really trying to land that chin over top of the shoulder, in line with the arm. One more to the right, one more to the left. Beautiful. Take both arms, bring them up and overhead. I know mine are out of the picture, but you're going to soften the right knee and reach the right arm high and switch. And switch. Just to get that length in the side body. Yes. One more with the right, one more with the left. From there, lower the arms with nice intention and go right into a roll down, nodding the chin first, then letting the head roll forward, and then one bone of the back at a time, softening the knees if you need to, putting the hands on the thighs. At the bottom, beautiful breath in. And then restacking, and really restacking with strength. Try to feel yourself getting taller. As you pick up the pelvis, you put it back on the legs, the hips. Then you pick up each bone of the back. Yes, already. 1/4 of an inch taller. Let's do another one. Out breath to tuck the chin, to roll it down, and to think of that length, right? You're not letting gravity win this, and just compress and sort of shorten you. You want the length and the strength. Exhaling to come back up. And then just pausing here to bring our attention back to our feet and doing toes alternating with the little toe movement. So get your groundedness through the outer border of your foot again, the balls and the heels if you're not already there, and then take a breath in and just raise the big toes only. Try to also feel that you draw them together if you're able to do big toes only, and then pad them back down. And we're just going to do 2 more with the big toes, leaving the little toes on the mat. Trying not to roll to the outer border of the foot, trying to stay grounded through the big toe knuckle as you raise the big toe. Good. And then leave the big toe on the mat and try to raise all the little toes. So you've got little toes coming up, spreading if possible, patting them back down. And when you raise the little toes, you're avoiding that knock of the knees inward or the ankles moving inward or the collapsing of the arches. Really think as you raise the little toes that you stay on the outer border of the foot. 1 more with just the 4 little toes. Beautiful. Pad them down. And then once more, do all toes. Keep that lovely posture. Don't allow anything to shift. And then if you can pad down from the baby toe through to the big toe, do that, or just pad them all down if the more detailed work is not available to you yet. Good. Perfect. And then if you're not at the back of your mat, walk it back there. Take a nice breath in. On your out breath, 1 more roll down, nodding. Walking it out here, looking back at your shins as you start to reach forward with one arm so that that head stays in line with the rest of the spine. Coming out to either a plank position or the hover position today. And we're just going to alternate between here and our pyramid. But before you start, I want you to collapse a little bit in the chest into your like bad shoulder position and bad head position. And then I want you to press away and really feel the breastbone and the rib cage, a big distance from the mat, tuck the chin, get the neck nice and long, then move into your pyramid on your next breath. Heels nicely down. Draw the pelvis back away from the hands and be broad in the shoulders in this. We're going to hold it for a breath and then raise the heels. And as you pivot strongly back towards your plank or your hover position, you're hitting that lovely head and neck aligned and shoulders nice and broad position that we worked on at the beginning. Lift the heels, or lift the sit bones, sink the heels. Then raise the heels, pivot back. So just a sort of a slow motion version of this that we've done before. Always remembering that if it's too much, you can bend the knees and be coming down into the hover position and lifting the sit bones, sinking the heels. They're both really beneficial. You don't have to move to a tall plank if your body doesn't like it. If your shoulders aren't ready for that extra load, if your back complains, you can progress to it. Good. So whichever version you're doing though, the hover or the plank, you're going to hold it here. You're going to take a nice breath in, and on your out breath, you're going to raise the right leg. So if you're in the hover, just unloading the foot is good practice. Switch sides. Right? Keeping the pelvis nice and still. If you're out in the full plank, raising one leg, keeping the pelvis still, and switching. Good. Let's just try to do 1 more with each side. Really drawing up with the pelvic floor, in with the belly. Yay. Good. From there, lift the sit bones 1 last time. Sink the heels. Raise the heels. Pivot back to that hover or plank position, but now lowering the knees and moving into a push-up position. So you can do the push-up from the hover if you want. You can do it from the tall plank or come to this modified position where you have the knees, the hips, shoulders, and the head in a nice line. And we're going to do elbows straight back first. So keep the elbows very narrow, bend them. Don't lose your form in the shoulders and upper body, and then bend further and press back up. Soften the elbows first, then allow the whole push-up to happen. Soften the elbows, press up. We're going to do 3 more. Try to feel really long out of the top of your head. And really strong in that whole front body to support what the shoulders are doing. Perfect. From there, rock it back, leave the hands there. You're just giving a moment for the wrists to roll, the shoulders to have a quick break. And you're coming forward, down into a low plank position. And you have your options here, level 2, because we've done some videos where we have left the knees on the mat and raised one knee and raise the other, or you can start in the full long position and drop a knee and drop a knee. Before you start, collapse and then say, no, 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 no. Bring the chest away, lengthen the back of the head and neck, tuck the chin a little bit, and then on your exhale, raising one knee, placing it back down, keeping the pelvis level throughout. Not too bad, eh? Hopefully you're finding this a little bit easier after all our mix and match ones. If you're opting for the harder version, each time returning to that long position, right? How many more can we do? One more on each side, right? Right. And left. Beautiful. Lower the knees and then melt down to the mat. Taking the arms immediately out to the sides of your mat. Lowering the forehead to the mat. Leaving the legs out nice and long. And I want you to pay attention, as we always do, to where the pelvis is right now. Because we're going to try to do a little combined movement. Take a nice breath in. On your out breath, you're lifting the face, the throat, the breastbone you've drawn in with the deep belly to leave that pelvis and low back nice and still. And when you get to your peak here, your shoulders are down away from your ears, the arms are going to stay on the mat, and you're going to lift the right leg. So now you've added some extension in the upper body, and you're asking, you can switch to the left, you're asking the low body to have a little more control while the upper body's in that extended position. So make that one the last one. With the legs, pause and lower it down. If you don't have the flexibility for this or you have discomfort in the low back, you could leave the head and the neck down. But I think it's a nice challenge to try to put the two together. Lifting up with the upper body, drawing in with the belly, really keeping the pubic bone rooted to the mat and feeling light in those hip pointers. Once again, we'll start with the left leg this time. Straight leg raise and lower it down. And because you're using a lot of back body here, right? The whole spine, all the spine muscles on the other side of the spine, they're working to keep you up in your upper body. And then you're using the glutes and the hamstrings. Peel it down to do the lower body so that it's actually a lot of demand on the front body for control. The abdominals and even the hip flexors. So peel it back up. You might not be at your full height here. Maybe you're only comfortable to hover, right? Let's do the right again. We're doing 2 on each leg. If you haven't noticed our little pattern here, each time we come up and then giving ourselves a break to go back down. Really try to feel that pelvis stay still as you float the leg. Beautiful. Peel it down. We got one more time. Exhale to come up. Really strong in the front body, and then raise the left leg, lower it down. You can always do your self-check even in this position with the fingertips under the hip pointers to see that you're staying nice and steady and comfortable in the low back. Beautiful. Good. Nice breath in. Lift a little higher in the upper body if you can, feeling that breastbone, heart pull forward. A little more extension through that often stiff part of our spine, and then peel it down. Beautiful. And then we're going to do a little bit of arm work. So feet, legs stay heavy on the mat. Nice breath in. Out breath to peel up. Just to a low hover. Good. Nice breath in. On your exhale, float the right arm. And slide it forward. Bring it back. And on your next breath, switch sides. Left arm floats. Nothing is shifted. And then reach it forward. And draw back. When you're doing your reach forward, right hand now, try to really keep the shoulder down away from the ear as you reach that arm out in front of you. It's not about how far you can reach the arm. It's can you keep that stillness through the center of your body? Can you keep that height that you've dedicated yourself to, you've committed, in the upper body? Can you keep tension out of the back of the neck and the upper shoulder? And really make this about working between the shoulder blades, around the shoulder blades, in that mid-back area. Good. One more with the right. Yes. Lovely. And the left. Perfect. If singles are hard, stick with singles. Otherwise, peel up a little higher, a little higher, a little higher. And we're going to try to do both arms just 3 times. Float both arms. And then reach them forward and draw them back. Reach them forward, draw them back. Are you strong in the lower abdominals? Of course you are. Good. Bring that hands underneath the rib cage. Lower the face a little bit. Bend the knees. You've got your perfect press up. And then rock it back into that lovely shell stretch. Child's pose. You can leave the arms in front if you wish at first, just for that stretch of the shoulders. And then if it feels good, reach them around by the feet. Let the shoulder blades get nice and wide here, where you were just working right in between them. Really try to let them let go of tension. And with your attention on the breath, is it still nice and regular and deep? Awesome. Beautiful. On your next out breath, roll it up to nice tall kneeling. And you have option here to just bring the mini stability ball in and put it between the thighs. We're going to do our Z exercise. And with that, just seeing if that mini ball between the knees gives you a little more inner thigh connection and a little more ability to keep that pelvis and low back nice and neutral as you hinge back. Obviously, if you don't have the mini ball, you can still do this without it. If possible, the knees and the feet are in a nice straight line, so the lower legs are parallel. Draw up even taller through the front of the body, be wide across the chest, and float the arms up to be shoulder height. Breath in. On your out breath, a little squeeze in on that mini ball. Lift the pelvic floor, draw in with the deep belly, a little tuck of the chin, just to lengthen the back of the neck as you hinge back. You keep looking, you keep your gaze forward. And then breath in when you're there. Exhale to use that front body to come forward. And from here, we'll take the arms overhead with the shoulders down, then out to the side. And as you exhale, we'll close it up and do that all again. Good. Use the front body to pull forward. Breath in. Out to the side. Close it up. Right? And this is what you go, I guess you go and you're comfortable with this one, right? It's hard sometimes for us to feel and see if we're staying in a good line, right? If you're really tight in the hips, the pelvis might stay forward because you're tight in the quadriceps, and then the back goes back too far and you feel like you're really compressed in the low back. Sorry, I should keep moving. Exhale. Other times we're tight in the very deep hip flexors and we stick the bum in. So all of our little cheats, right? Pull forward. Right? So I'd rather see just a little hinge back with really good form because then you're still going to feel that in the front body. And you can go deeper once you are comfortable in your body and you're really confident about the exercise. Exhale to hold this one back if you can. So find a point where you're comfortable, you have no strain on the spine, you're long, really feeling that whole front body work hard. And we'll bring both arms a little wider out to the side. And as you exhale, see if you can lengthen the spine more and maybe hinge back a tiny bit with good form. Good. Last one. Beautiful. Come forward. Last time with the arms overhead, out to the side, and then sit back. And we're going to come down onto your back, and this is where you can have your mini ball under the pelvis, if you're happy to. If you don't have the mini ball, that's fine. We're doing an imprint and release to start with. So if you don't have the mini ball, you're on the mat in neutral spine. The knees, the feet, no wider than the hips. Nice open chest. Try to get the lovely foundation in the upper body of the upper arm, the forearm, the whole palm of the hand on the mat with the fingers nice and spread. Breath in to prepare, and on your out breath, feel the tummy button draw back towards the spine a bit, and that low spine gently moving into a flat position. Breath in back to neutral. Exhale gently flat. And back to neutral. Good. So if you're on the ball, you feel a little movement of the ball. Often we try to hold the ball nice and still when we're working with it, right? But here you're having, as you go into your imprint, the mini ball will roll a little bit towards the feet. And then as you go back to neutral, it's like you've pulled the ball in and it's back and nice and centered under that back of the pelvis sacrum area. Perfect. And then coming into your neutral spine, making sure the low ribs are back. Bend the elbows. And let's take the right foot up to tabletop and lower it back down. When you lower it, I want you to let the knee go out to the side and come back into the center. Right? So just a little combination. Knee up, left, lower it down, and then left knee out to the side. All the while the pelvis is nice and still in the ball. And before you do the movement, you're feeling pre-activation in the deep belly, in the core, with the pelvic floor. And you're trying to keep relaxed in the upper body where you don't need tension. Left leg up to tabletop. Lower it down. Try to avoid the little micro movements in that ball. Exhale. Right leg to tabletop. Lower it down. Let the knee go out to the side. Come back in. Left leg up to tabletop. Lower it down. Knee out to the side. Good. Ready for some arms? Yes. Good. Arms straight up towards the ceiling. Same thing with the legs, now that you got that. Left leg up to tabletop. Both arms overhead. Right? Lower the leg, arms back to the ceiling. As the right knee goes out to the side, the left arm opens out to the side. And bring it back in. Same thing with the left. Both arms overhead as the leg raises. Is that ball nice and steady? Lower the leg, arms to the ceiling. As the left leg goes out to the side, the right arm reaches out to the side. The ribs stay still, the pelvis stays still. Okay? Because you're level 2s, let's speed this up. Boom, out to the side. Left leg up to tabletop, arm is overhead. Lower it down, knee out to the side, opposite arm. Good. If you don't have the ball, that's fine. But if you don't have the ball, I really want you to think of the lower ribs. Staying back when both arms go overhead, because that's an easy thing to fall into. Good, we're going to do one more with the right. Right leg to tabletop. Lower it out to the side with the opposite arm. Beautiful. Last one with the left leg to tabletop. Lower it down, out to the side. And now you're very warmed up in the core, right? Beautiful. Arms can stay where they are. Bring the right leg up to tabletop. Then the left. Good. Staying there. Arms alone for a second. Overhead, overhead, overhead. And then out to the side. Nice big circle wide across the chest as you come back down by your hips. And back up. Overhead. Hold those low ribs back. Keep the shoulders away from the ears. Stay broad, broad, broad across the chest and between the shoulder blades as you circle down. Good. And now we're ready to add in some legs. So the legs, you're going to keep the tailbone down and just straighten both legs at the time that the arms are coming up and overhead, right? And as they circle around and down by your sides, you're going to bend the knees and bring it back in. So it's a nice exhale. And inhale to reach long. Exhale to circle everything back in. If you want to change the breath, it can be done both ways. So you could exhale on your straightening of the legs and the arms overhead, and you could breathe in to circle back. Right? This exercise is sort of done both ways, depending on your training. Low ribs are back. Abdominals draw in. Try to really feel the length out of the legs. And you can lower the legs, what you can control. It's just really hard work, right? Let some of you up for that. Perfect. You're going to hold this one for a minute when you have extended the legs and reached the arms up. And then we're going to open. I've got the feet right together. Maybe you don't. We're going to open the feet just a tiny bit and put them back together. Open, close, open, close. For 3, for 2, for 1. Tiny. And bring it back in and hug those knees in towards the chest. And that's some hard work with long levers. You can always soften the knees if you need to when we're doing that in order to keep the in the spine. But it's nice to challenge that length in the hamstrings and get that flexibility. Back to tabletop with the elbows just bent and the palms facing in. And we're going to flex the feet here. And on your out breath, tapping that right heel down towards the mat. Bringing it back in, keeping the thighs and the knees nice and close. Really paying attention to that center line of your body. Good. One more, nice and slow like this, where you really make sure that you're still on that ball. Or the pelvis is still on the mat. Once you have stillness, you can speed it up to pass in motion. I don't have that stillness yet. I'm going to do one more on each leg. But once you're happy with your form, then you can start to as you're bringing the right leg up, the left leg can be lowering. And if you're able to tap the heel, right, because you don't have to. If you lose your form, you're not tapping the heel all the way to the mat. But if you are able to, then you can start to reach it out further. Just a little different motion. For 3, for 3, for 2, for 2, for 1. Yay. And pause. Lower the legs one at a time. Lower the arms to your sides. And we're going to try to do our single leg circles on the ball today. So the left leg, you're just going to slide it out a bit so that knee is out of your way. And the right leg can come up to lovely tabletop. Option to do it with the legs straight, which I think I'm going to try today. But you want that pelvis to stay nice and still. That's your goal. And to have some nice, big, beautiful movement at the hip. and the stillness on the ball, right? So you can have the hands on your pelvis to monitor for movement if the ball isn't enough underneath you. Exhale and straighten the leg. Or do the bent knee option. And then when you're ready, cross that leg over the midline. It's nice and still on the ball. Circle down and around. Out to the side, really reach, not only out to the side, but also strength towards the ceiling to hold that pelvis nice and still and bring it back to the center for a quick pause. Remembering you can always do the bent knee version. Same thing, the thigh comes across the body, circles down and around, out to the side and back to where you started. Okay, we're gonna do 2 more this way. Across the midline, down and around, out to the side, and a little pause to know you have that control. Circle and pause, and then we have to do 4 the other way. So out to the side first, down and around, and back to where you started. If you're not on the ball, you can have the leg that's on the mat nice and straight. You don't need to have that soft knee bend. Good, last one. Rib cage nice and still, pelvis nice and still, lovely. And release it down. Change legs, so that leg is out and the knee is away, out of your way. Tabletop first, making sure you've got the neutral pelvis. Then keep that neutral pelvis if you want to do the straight leg option. And here we go across the midline first. 1 breath per circle, down and around, out to the side, and back to where you started. If you're on the ball and you've got the knee bend, the one that's on the mat, make sure it stays still, right? It's not supposed to move, as a counterweight to what the straight leg is doing or the free leg. Good. And let's circle the other way, out to the side, down and around. Little pause. Out to the side, down and around. A little pause. 2 more. How we doing? Nice steady pelvis? Oh yes. Happy hips. Beautiful. Good. Lovely. And release that leg. If you're on the ball or not, it doesn't matter. Enjoy the stretch. Bring the right knee in towards the chest and let that left leg straighten out nice and long, and just feel the length in that hip flexor, the front of the straight leg, and also feel that you bring the opposite knee fully into a bend so that that hip is fully flexed and folded. And then when you're ready, switch sides. Beautiful. Lovely. And then bend both knees. Lower. Get the little mini ball away. Take a nice breath in. You're still on your back. Peel it up. And we're going to do a little combination here. So hips are nice and high. Raising the right leg to tabletop. Switch and left. With that nice level pelvis. Just a little stepping here. Trying to keep the hips high. The ribs from moving. Just that leg hinging up to tabletop and lowering back down with control. Let's do 1 more on each side. Perfect. Breath in, hips are high. Peel it down, 1 bone to the back at a time. Right back to your neutral pelvis and low back. Bring the hands behind the head. Interlace. Have the elbows nice and wide. Take a breath in. Exhale to curl it up. And from here, you're going to do right leg, then left leg to tabletop. And then you're going to try to lower, both with control, and bring it back up. Both with control. Bring it back up. All right, so you don't want any shift in the spine. Maybe you're able to tap your toes to the mat. Maybe that's not available today. Still great work. Lift in the chest a little higher Peel it down. Lower the legs one at a time. Put the hands by the sides. And peel it back up. Sorry, peel the hips back up. So tailbone, back of the pelvis, low back. Yes. Peeling up. Good. And right leg to tabletop. Lower and switch. And nice stepping again with the hips staying level. The center of you staying over the center of the mat. No tension in the upper body. The arms are relaxed, but with a good connection to the mat. Last one on the right. Last one on the left. Lift the hips a bit higher. Breathe in. Peel it down. Enjoy that nice mobility in the spine. Beautiful. Bring the hands behind the head when that low back and pelvis are in neutral. Breath in to prepare. Out breath to peel it up. Good. Left leg to tabletop, then the right. No movement in the pelvis. And then try the double toe taps and bring it back up. Don't worry about actually tapping the toes to the mat, right? It's that movement of, it's the act of moving the thighs away and not having anything change in the center. And that's hard, right? That's a long lever. You know, the legs are relatively heavy, and that's a lot of work for the abdominals. It's good because we do it in our day. It's good to be able to control it, but here you're looking at your arm, lift a little higher in the chest, peel it down, and deciding, you know, if you're doing it safely, I guess. Nice breath in. Exhale to peel it up into that bridge position. Good. We'll do a little repeater this time instead of switching side to side. So bring the right leg to tabletop and then just toe taps for 6, for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1, and switch sides. Left leg to tabletop, little toe taps. For 4 more, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Lower that leg, take a nice breath in, lift the hips higher, hold the low ribs back if you can. Peel it down. Oh, isn't that lovely? Hands behind the head. Curl it up. Curl it up a little higher before you start. And then bring both legs up to tabletop or one at a time. And then work on that movement of away. Good. 2, for 1. Beautiful. Good. If you can hold it up here, I want you to press the knees together, hold the pelvis still, and just rotate to look to the right. Come through the center. Rotate to look to the left. Good. To the right again. Stay high if you can. Perfect. To the right last time. When you're here, you're going to straighten out the right leg. You're going to lower it what you can control. You're going to bring it back in. This is your finale. Center. Turn to the left. Straighten out the left leg. Lower it what you can control. Bring it back in. Center. Lift a little bit higher in the upper body. Peel it down. And lower the legs one at a time. Reach out nice and long. Let the arms reach overhead. Just a nice length in those abdominals here. Lovely. Good. And we're going to come up to sit in a roll up because we're nice and warmed up in our spine. So flex the feet, have those arms overhead, low ribs holding back already. Breath in on your exhale, on your inhale. Scoop those arms towards the sky, nod the chin, and then use the exhale from there to get that momentum to come up, to reach long over the feet, to restack one bone of the back at a time, and then to peel back down. Arms overhead. Inhale. Exhale. you're trying to move, it's really this peel up. It's one bone of the back at a time. We often don't have that available to us, but it will get better. There are people who couldn't do the roll up for a long time, and then one day their eyes lit up in class as they did. Inhale, arms float up. Exhale to nod the chin. If you can't do the roll up, and you get stuck, then you pause there. And you hold it and you imagine getting a tiny bit higher, and then peel it back down. Because one day, maybe you'll surprise yourself and do the full thing. Last time to come up. Inhale, arms up. Exhale. Peel it up, peel it up, peel it up, peel it up, peel it up. Reach long over the feet. Restack one bone of the back at a time. Bring the feet together. Place the hands behind you. And lift through the chest. Be broad across the shoulders. You can always bend the knees as a modification here, lifting the bum. On the exhale, press into the heels, press into the hands, and lift the bum to a little hover. Lower it down with control. We're doing 2 more. Exhale to come up. Lowering down with control. Last one. Beautiful. Lower down with control. Still be lifted in that chest until the bum hits the mat. And then bring the knees in, or bring the feet in, bend the knees. Give yourself a little well-deserved hug there, a little rock side to side if that feels good. And then to come up to standing, come onto hands and knees. If you like to get up the way I do, tuck the toes, walk the hands back towards the knees, roll onto the feet, and then roll it up one bone of the back at a time, or simply come to stand however it feels good for you after that. Open across the chest. And we're going to end with our fun stretch that we haven't done all the time this summer because we've been doing shorts. So arms nice and wide out to the side. Breathe in, bend and scoop. And on your exhale, stay wide across the chest, sit back with the hips, fold forward at the waist. And roll it up, bone of the back at a time. And bend and scoop. Exhale. Fold forward at your waist and roll it up one bone of the back at a time. Voila! There we go. Summer fun. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you felt good. Add another one on if you want. Another short, quick one. And yeah, go back and repeat some of the shorts that we've done this summer. It's been sort of fun. So I hope you agree and you're feeling good. And yeah, we'll keep some sort of virtual classes going through the fall as well, it looks like. So stay tuned. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.